Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring a fascinating connection that you've sent in a bunch of articles about, the link between gut bacteria and ADHD.
It's a hot topic.
It is. And it looks like what's going on in our stomachs might be way more important for our brains than we ever thought.
Absolutely. And to really understand why, we should probably start by talking about the gut-brain axis.
Okay, the gut-brain axis.
It's basically this incredible communication network that connects our gut and our brain.
So you're saying these trillions of bacteria in my gut are actually like talking to my brain?
Yeah, think of it this way. Your gut microbiome, all those microbes in your gut, they're constantly sending signals to your brain through various pathways like your nervous system, immune system, hormones.
So many different ways.
And these signals can influence everything from your mood and behavior to even your cognitive function.
Wow.
And one of the articles that you sent over, actually a review in the journal Nutrients, it really dives deeper into how this communication might be messed up in people with ADHD.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. But how do we know that people with ADHD even have different gut bacteria than those without ADHD?
Yeah.
Like, is there actual proof?
Well, there's actually a lot of research looking into this, and it's pretty fascinating.
Okay.
For instance, there was a study published in Microbiome back in 2020.
Right.
And they did something really cool. They took gut bacteria from humans with ADHD and transferred it to mice.
Hold on, they gave mice human gut bacteria.
Yep.
That's wild. What happened?
Well, get this. The mice actually started showing behaviors and brain changes that are similar to those we see in humans with ADHD.
No way, really?
Yeah.
So different bacteria, different behavior.
That seems to be the case.
What other research is out there?
Another study that I thought was really interesting was published in Pediatric Research in 2022.
Okay.
And in this one, researchers at Henry Ford Health, they tracked babies' gut bacteria development and later ADHD diagnoses.
That seems like a logical place to look. Those first few years are so crucial for brain development. What did they find?
They found that babies who had a more diverse range of gut bacteria at 6 months old were more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD later on.
Wait, more diverse?
Yeah.
That seems counterintuitive.
Right.
You'd think more diverse would be a good thing?
You would think.
Like eating a bigger variety of foods?
Exactly. It's kind of a head scratcher.
Yeah, what's the thinking there?
Well, researchers are thinking it might have something to do with the timing of gut development.
Okay.
So in these babies, their guts might be maturing too fast, almost like they're fast-forwarding to an adult-like gut. And this fast development might somehow be messing with their brain development as well.
So it's like their little guts are going into overdrive.
Yeah.
And maybe sending mixed signals to the brain during this really important period.
That's the idea.
What could cause that?
Well, diet seems to be a big factor.
Okay.
The study highlighted both breastfeeding versus formula feeding and the timing of when solid foods are introduced as things that could influence how quickly a baby's gut matures.
That's interesting. It's not just about what they're eating, but also how they're born, too, right?
Absolutely. So babies born vaginally, they pick up a ton of bacteria from their mom's birth canal,
Right.
which helps shape their gut microbiome, whereas babies born via C-section, they kind of miss out on that
Interesting.
initial bacterial boost.
But does that mean C-sections increase the risk of ADHD?
Hmm.
Should parents be worried?
Not necessarily. While how a baby is born definitely can influence their initial gut bacteria, these studies haven't really directly linked C-sections to ADHD.
Okay, so it's just another piece of the puzzle.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the gut-brain axis, different bacteria in people with ADHD, and early gut development playing a role. What about this leaky gut idea I keep hearing about?
Ah, yes. Leaky gut.
It's kind of a buzzword these days, but there's some interesting science behind it, right?
Definitely. So essentially, it's talking about a condition where the lining of your intestines becomes more permeable than it should be.
Permeable, so that means things can leak out of my gut.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, okay. So when your gut lining is leaky, substances that shouldn't be able to get through can enter your bloodstream.
Okay.
And this can trigger inflammation all over your body.
Including the brain.
Including the brain.
Okay, that sounds bad.
Yeah.
How is this linked to ADHD?
Well, some researchers are thinking that the inflammation caused by a leaky gut could be part of why we see ADHD symptoms.
Okay.
One study in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry actually found that a fungus called Candida albicans was more abundant in the guts of children with ADHD.
So it's not just bacteria, but also fungi that might be playing a role here.
Right, it's getting complicated.
It is. But what does this Candida albicans have to do with leaky gut?
That's a great question. Well, Candida albicans has been linked to increased intestinal permeability,
Right.
meaning it could be making the gut leakier.
Oh, wow, so it's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
The fungus could be making the gut leaky, leading to inflammation, which then contributes to ADHD symptoms.
Right.
Is there anything people can do about this leaky gut issue? There's more and more research looking into ways to improve gut health.
Okay.
And some of these strategies might help with leaky gut, too.
Okay.
One of the most promising areas is using probiotics,
Probiotics.
which are live bacteria that can help bring back a healthy balance in the gut.
So are we talking about eating yogurt or taking supplements?
Both could be options.
Okay.
Yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi, and other fermented foods, those are all natural sources of probiotics.
Okay.
And of course, you can always find a wide variety of probiotic supplements out there.
But are all probiotics created equal?
That's where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
Different strains of probiotics can have different effects.
Right.
And we need more research to figure out which ones are the best for people with ADHD.
Yeah.
But one type of bacteria that's showing promise is lactobacillus.
Lactobacillus. I remember seeing that in one of the articles.
Yeah.
What's so special about that one?
So lactobacillus is commonly found in fermented foods like yogurt. And some studies are suggesting that it might have some protective effects against ADHD,
Interesting.
potentially by influencing the balance of bacteria in the gut and reducing inflammation.
So eating yogurt could be a good place to start?
It could be.
Okay.
It definitely can't hurt, but it is important to remember that we need more research to be totally sure about the benefits of probiotics for ADHD.
Right.
And it's always a good idea to talk to your doctor before starting any new supplements, especially for kids.
Good advice.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're just starting to understand this gut-brain connection.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more to learn.
Tons.
But beyond just probiotics, are there other things people can do to support their gut health?
For sure. Diet is huge.
Okay.
Studies have shown time and time again that a plant-rich diet is linked with a healthier gut microbiome.
So fruits, veggies, whole grains, all that good stuff.
You got it.
Oh.
And especially foods high in fiber, like broccoli, beans, and lentils.
Gotcha.
Fiber's like food for the good bacteria in your gut.
Oh, interesting.
It helps them thrive.
It's pretty amazing to think that something as simple as eating more vegetables could actually have a positive impact on our gut bacteria.
Right.
And maybe even our brains.
It is pretty amazing.
I remember reading some research about vegetarian diets and ADHD too.
Yeah, there's some cool findings there.
Like what?
Well, one study in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition from 2018
Okay.
found that preschoolers who mostly ate a vegetarian diet had a lower risk of having ADHD symptoms. And another study from 2022, this one was in Food Science and Human Wellness,
Okay.
showed that compared to diets with meat, vegetarian diets seem to promote a healthier gut microbiome.
So you don't necessarily have to go full vegetarian.
Right.
But adding more plant-based foods to your diet seems like a smart move.
Absolutely.
What about other lifestyle things like sleep? Does that matter for gut health?
Sleep is super important.
Yep.
A 2019 study in PLS1 found that good sleep is linked with a more diverse gut microbiome. And the opposite is true too. If you don't get enough sleep, it can throw off the balance of your gut bacteria.
I can definitely feel that. When I don't get enough sleep, I feel it everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm sure my gut bacteria aren't happy either.
probably not.
But I've also heard that sleep problems are really common for people with ADHD.
You're right, they are.
Yeah.
According to CHEDD, about 3 out of 4 kids and teens and 4 out of 5 adults with ADHD have trouble sleeping.
Wow. Those are some high numbers.
Yeah, it's a real issue.
So getting enough sleep is important for both managing ADHD symptoms and supporting a healthy gut.
That's double whammy.
Yeah. What are some tips for improving sleep hygiene?
Well, consistency is key.
Okay.
So try to stick to a regular sleep schedule, go to bed, and wake up around the same time every day.
Even on weekends?
Even on weekends.
Okay.
And try to avoid caffeine and alcohol a few hours before bed.
Okay.
Those can really mess with your sleep.
Good advice. And I've also heard that a relaxing bedtime routine can be really helpful to signal to your body that it's time to wind down.
Yeah, things like a warm bath, reading a book, or listening to calming music can make a difference.
Those are all good ideas.
Yeah.
So we've covered diet and sleep. What about exercise? Does that have any impact on our gut bacteria?
It definitely does. Studies have shown that both moderate to intense aerobic exercise, like running or swimming, and just being physically active regularly, can be good for your gut microbiome.
Interesting. So not only is exercise good for managing ADHD symptoms,
Right.
It's also good for our gut health.
Win-win.
It is a win-win. And speaking of things that are good for both our mind and body, I'm curious about the connection between gut health and the immune system.
Ah,
I
yes.
remember seeing something about that in the articles.
There's a very close relationship there. In fact, a healthy gut microbiome is critical for a strong immune system.
How so?
Well, all those trillions of bacteria in your gut, they actually help train your immune system
Oh.
to know the difference between bad stuff like viruses and bacteria and harmless stuff.
So they're like little trainers for our immune system.
You could say that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
And a balanced gut microbiome helps regulate immune responses and prevent too much inflammation,
Exactly.
which can cause all sorts of health problems.
To care.
So a healthy gut means a strong immune system.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. And this is especially important for people with ADHD,
It is.
right? Because they might be more prone to immune problems.
Exactly. Research has shown that people with ADHD may be more susceptible to immune dysregulation and inflammation,
Oh.
which
well.
means their immune systems might overreact to harmless things, leading to problems like allergies
Oh.
or even autoimmune conditions.
So if someone with ADHD already has those immune challenges, having a healthy gut is super important.
It's absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
Supporting gut health can almost be like a way to boost the immune system,
Right.
which could then help manage ADHD symptoms and just improve overall well-being.
It's incredible how connected everything is.
Yeah.
It's like a chain reaction.
Yeah.
Improving gut health can have a positive impact on the whole body,
The whole system.
from the brain to the immune system.
It really shows how important it is to take a holistic approach to health.
I agree. And speaking of a holistic approach, let's go back to diet for a minute.
Okay.
We mentioned that a plant-rich diet is good for the gut,
Right.
but there's more to it than just eating lots of fruits and veggies, right?
Yeah, it's not just about quantity, but also the quality of the plant foods you're eating.
Are there specific types that are especially good for our gut bacteria?
Definitely. Prebiotics are a great example.
Prebiotics.
These are types of fiber that our bodies can't actually digest themselves,
Okay.
but they act as food for the good bacteria in our gut, helping them to grow.
I've heard that word before, prebiotics,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure I really get what it means. Can you explain it more simply?
Sure, think of prebiotics like fertilizer for your gut garden.
Okay.
Just like fertilizer helps plants to grow.
Right.
Prebiotics help the good bacteria in your gut flourish.
I like that analogy, fertilizer for your gut.
Exactly.
So where do we find these prebiotics?
You'll find them in a bunch of different plant-based foods,
Okay.
especially ones that are rich in a type of fiber called inulin.
Inulin.
Yeah. Good sources are things like onions, garlic leeks,
Okay.
asparagus, bananas, oats, and Jerusalem artichokes.
Wow, that's a pretty wide range.
It is.
It's amazing how many foods we eat every day can actually have such a big impact on our gut health.
It's pretty remarkable.
It is. And it's not just about eating broccoli every day.
Yeah.
It's about mixing things up and trying new prebiotic-rich foods.
Absolutely. Diversity is key when it comes to prebiotics.
Okay.
Different types feed different types of beneficial bacteria.
So you got to keep things interesting.
Yeah, keep your gut bacteria happy.
Keep them on their toes.
Exactly.
And what about polyphenols?
Polyphenols.
I remember those from the articles, too.
Oh, yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah.
They're powerful antioxidants
Right.
found in plants, and they can also benefit gut health.
They're the things that give fruits and veggies their bright colors, right?
Exactly. Think about things like blueberries, raspberries, strawberries,
Okay.
grapes, apples, spinach, kale, even dark chocolate.
Those were all good things.
Yeah, they're all packed with polyphenols.
So eating the rainbow is good for our gut bacteria, too.
It is.
I love that. But how do polyphenols help our gut?
Well, they act like prebiotics, feeding the good bacteria in our gut.
Okay.
And they also have anti-inflammatory properties.
Right, which is good for managing ADHD symptoms.
Exactly.
It's incredible how all of this fits together: diet, gut health, inflammation, and ADHD.
It is pretty incredible.
It really highlights how connected everything is in our bodies.
Yeah, it really does.
But it can also feel a little overwhelming,
I know what you mean.
trying to keep track of all these different things.
It's a lot.
Are there any simple takeaways we can give our listeners?
For sure. One simple takeaway is to focus on eating a variety of plant-based foods.
Okay.
Try to get at least 5 servings of fruits and veggies every day.
Okay.
And be sure to include some of those prebiotic-rich foods.
Like onions and garlic.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
It sounds like focusing on those colorful prebiotic and polyphenol-rich plant foods can make a real difference.
Absolutely.
And don't forget about fermented foods,
Fermented foods are great.
like yogurt, sauerkraut, and kimchi.
Yeah, those are all natural sources of probiotics.
Right, so a colorful plate full of plant-based foods and a side of fermented goodness.
I like it.
Sounds like a recipe for a happy gut.
Definitely. And when your gut is happy, chances are your brain and immune system will be too.
This has been such a fascinating look at the gut-brain connection and what it means for ADHD.
It has.
We've covered so much, from the role of the gut microbiome to potential new treatments,
Yeah.
and the importance of things like diet, sleep, exercise, and spending time in nature.
We've covered a lot.
But there's still more to uncover.
There is.
So stay tuned for the next part of our deep dive.
Can't wait.
Welcome back. We've been talking about all these incredible connections between our gut health and ADHD, and it sounds like there's still so much we don't know.
Yeah, we're just beginning to understand how influential our gut microbiome can be, not only for ADHD, but for our overall health.
Right.
And with all this new information, we're starting to see potential for new treatments and things we can do to prevent it that target the gut.
That's so exciting. It opens up a whole new way to think about ADHD,
It does.
instead of only focusing on what's happening in the brain.
Exactly. I mean, for years, we thought ADHD was only a neurological condition,
Right.
and we mainly treated it with meds and behavioral therapies,
Yeah.
which can help, but they don't always solve the problem completely.
Right. So now that we're learning more about the gut-brain connection,
Right.
we might be able to find other ways to help manage ADHD.
Yeah, things that actually support gut health.
So what would those look like?
Well, in the future, on top of the traditional treatments, we might be able to give people personalized diet plans, specific prebiotics and probiotics, and maybe even fecal microbiota transplants.
Hold on. Fecal microbiota transplants.
Yeah.
That sounds intense. What are those?
I know it sounds a little out there, but basically it's taking fecal matter from a healthy person and putting it into someone with gut problems. It's like a way to reseed the gut with good bacteria.
Wow.
It's still a new thing and not really used for ADHD yet,
Okay.
but more and more people are interested in trying it.
It's amazing that something like that could maybe help people with ADHD.
I know, right? The power of those microbes is pretty incredible.
It is.
Yeah.
So while we're waiting for things like fecal transplants to become more common, what can we do now to improve our gut health?
Well, all those lifestyle things we were talking about before.
Okay.
A healthy diet, plenty of sleep, regular exercise, and time in nature, those are all good places to start.
Right. And those things are good for more than just our gut, too.
Exactly. They benefit our whole body and mind.
So it's a win-win. I like that. We talked a lot about the gut-brain connection,
We did.
but I also remember reading about the connection between the gut and the immune system.
Yeah, gut health and the immune system are very closely linked.
Can you tell us more about that?
So,
What?
having a healthy gut microbiome is super important for a strong immune system.
Yep.
All those trillions of bacteria, they actually help to train our immune system
Wow.
to know the difference between harmful things like viruses and bacteria
Right.
and harmless things that we don't need to worry about.
So they're like tiny little teachers for our immune system.
Kind of, yeah, they're always teaching the immune system what to pay attention to.
That's amazing.
It is.
A well-balanced gut microbiome also keeps our immune responses in check and prevents too much inflammation.
Which we know is linked to a bunch of health problems.
Right.
So having a healthy gut basically means having a stronger immune system.
And how does this affect people with ADHD specifically?
Well, research has shown that people with ADHD might be more likely to have problems with their immune system and have more inflammation.
Interesting.
So their immune systems might be too reactive,
Oh, okay.
overreacting to things that aren't actually harmful.
Right, which can lead to things like allergies.
Exactly, or even autoimmune diseases.
So if someone with ADHD is already struggling with immune issues, taking care of their gut is even more important.
Definitely. Supporting gut health can be a way to boost their immune system,
Right.
which could then help manage their ADHD symptoms.
Just help them feel better overall.
Absolutely. It all comes back to that holistic approach to health.
I love that.
Oh,
Let's talk a little more about diet.
okay.
We know that eating more plant-based foods is good for our gut.
Right.
But are there any specific kinds of plant foods that are especially helpful for our gut bacteria?
Absolutely.
Like what?
Prebiotics are a great example.
Prebiotic.
Those are types of fiber that our bodies can't actually break down themselves.
Right, we talked about those earlier.
But they act as food for those beneficial bacteria in our gut.
Okay.
So think of them like fertilizer for your gut garden.
Right, to help those good bacteria grow.
Exactly.
Where can we find these prebiotics?
Lots of plant-based foods have them,
Okay.
especially those that are rich in a fiber called inulin.
Inulin.
Yeah, good sources of inulin are things like onions, garlic, leeks,
Okay.
asparagus, bananas, oats, and Jerusalem artichokes.
It's amazing how many foods we already eat have such a big impact on our gut health.
I know, right? It's pretty cool.
It is.
And remember, it's important to have variety in your prebiotics.
Just to mix it up.
Yeah, because different prebiotics feed different kinds of good bacteria.
That makes sense.
So aim for a mix of prebiotic sources to make sure you're supporting a diverse and healthy gut microbiome.
Right. So it's not just about quantity, it's also about variety.
Exactly.
What about polyphenols?
Those are great too.
Yeah.
They're those powerful antioxidants.
Right. The ones that give fruits and veggies their color.
Right. They're things like blueberries, raspberries, strawberries,
Okay.
grapes, apples, spinach, kale, even dark chocolate. All those vibrant, colorful foods are packed with polyphenols.
So eating the rainbow is good for our gut bacteria.
It definitely is.
I love that. How do polyphenols help our gut?
Well, they also act like prebiotics.
Oh, okay.
They feed the good bacteria,
Right.
and they also have anti-inflammatory properties.
Right, which is good for managing those ADHD symptoms.
Exactly.
It's incredible how connected it all is.
It is, right? The diet, the gut health, the inflammation, and the ADHD.
It shows just how interconnected our bodies are.
It really does.
But it's a lot of information to take in.
It is.
What's the main takeaway for our listeners?
I think the main point is that there's a strong link between our gut microbiome and ADHD.
Okay.
And even though we don't know everything yet, we do know that taking care of our gut can be good for both our mental and physical health.
So it's empowering to know that we have some control over our health
Yeah,
and that small changes can make a big difference.
absolutely. It's not about changing everything at once, but just adding in small, sustainable habits that support a healthy gut microbiome.
Like eating more plants,
Exactly.
getting enough sleep,
Yeah.
and managing our stress.
All those things contribute to a healthier gut.
This has been so eye-opening.
It has.
We started with this simple question. Is there a connection between gut bacteria and ADHD?
Right.
And we've learned so much about the gut microbiome
We have.
and how it impacts our brains, immune systems, and overall health.
It's amazing how much we're still discovering,
It really is.
but we're not done yet.
There's still more to explore.
There is. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Before we wrap things up, I wanted to touch on a couple more things that can impact gut health.
Yeah, good idea.
We've talked about diet and sleep and exercise,
Okay.
but what about stress?
Stress is a big one.
I know whenever I'm stressed, my stomach always seems to be the first thing to go haywire.
It's that gut-brain connection we've been talking about.
Yeah.
When we're stressed, our bodies release hormones like cortisol,
Okay.
and that can actually mess up the balance of our gut microbiome.
So stress can actually, kill off the good bacteria in our gut.
It can, yeah.
That's not great news for people who are always stressed out.
It's true. Stress can reduce the variety of bacteria in our gut and even make the inflammation worse,
Wow.
which, as we talked about, can have effects throughout the whole body.
Right, so it sounds like managing stress is important for a lot of reasons,
It is,
and gut health is definitely one of them.
for sure.
What about antibiotics? I know we need them to fight infections,
Right.
but I've also heard that they can affect our gut bacteria.
They can, yeah. Antibiotics are powerful, but they don't really discriminate.
What do you mean?
Well, they can wipe out both the bad bacteria and the good bacteria in your gut.
Oh, so even though antibiotics are important sometimes,
Right.
taking them can have a negative impact on our gut health.
Exactly. That's why it's important to only use them when you really need them. And to talk to your doctor about ways to protect your gut while you're taking them and after you've finished.
That's good advice. It's all about balance, right?
It is.
Fighting the infection, but also making sure we're taking care of those good bacteria in our gut.
Absolutely.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive. We started with this simple question. Is there a connection between gut bacteria and ADHD?
Yeah.
And we've uncovered this whole intricate world of the gut microbiome
It's amazing.
and how it impacts our brains, our immune systems, even our overall health.
It really highlights how much we still don't know about our own bodies.
I know, right? And how interconnected everything is.
We always think of our bodies as these separate systems, but they all work together.
And the gut microbiome seems to be like this conductor almost,
Yeah,
influencing so many parts of our well-being.
it really is.
I'm sure as scientists learn more about all of this,
Yeah.
we'll find even more surprising connections
Sure.
and new ways to treat conditions like ADHD. So, what's the most important takeaway for our listener today?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that there's a strong link between our gut microbiome and ADHD.
Yeah.
We don't have all the answers yet,
Right.
but we do know that taking care of our gut can have a positive impact on our mental and physical health.
That's good to know.
It is.
It's really empowering to know that we have some control over our health
Absolutely.
and that little changes can make a big difference.
Exactly. You don't have to change everything overnight.
Yeah.
Just focus on making small, sustainable changes that support a healthy gut microbiome.
Like eating lots of plants.
Yes.
Getting enough sleep.
Definitely.
Managing our stress.
All those things are so important.
I think this is a good place to wrap up our deep dive into gut bacteria and ADHD.
Yeah, I think so too.
To our listeners, we encourage you to keep learning about this connection.
Keep asking questions.
And, most importantly, take care of your gut.
Because a happy gut means a happy you.
Thanks for joining us on this journey, and until next time, keep learning and keep those good gut bacteria thriving.